Hey, what's up guys and welcome back to Anime King, and today I'm going to be giving you a brand new series. What if Naruto was broken by the people that he loved the most? Part 1. Remember to get this one to 100 like as usual. Share this to all of your friends in social media platform. And also guys, go ahead and check out the brand new episode on this channel of What If Naruto was a part of a Legendary 7, and enjoy that guys. And also stay tuned for the rest of what is coming your way over on Anime King 2 and Anime King 3. If you're new, yes, you heard that correctly. I indeed have 3 channels, Anime King 2, Anime King 3, which I post what if on every single day for you guys to enjoy. So go ahead and click that subscribe button and become part of the Anime King family. And thank you for all of your help and your support, and yeah, without further ado, what is to begin this new episode? Start the intro. A shirtless Naruto was panting as he continued his training, as he mercilessly punched at the rock in front of him, his hands getting bloody. Long gone was a trademark orange jumpsuit that he used to wear. Now he was wearing black pants, similar to what Kakashi, his old saints used to wear. The necklace that Tsunade gave him was around his neck. Over to the side was a Jonin vest and a black t-shirt. He had taken them off to cool down, so that he wouldn't get too hot in his training. Well, it was just punching at a rock until it crumbled away into dust. He felt no pain as his fist continued to smack into the rock. The enhanced strength of being a Jinchuriki, and plus the healing properties, as he slammed his fist once again. In the hot afternoon summer heat, nothing mattered to him anymore. Even when he had everything that he thought he wanted, he was miserable. He had phoned Sasuke 5 years ago. They both had been 18 at the time. A fierce battle had happened. The both of them had clashed, ripping apart the place. But in the final moments, Naruto had overpowered him and dragged him back to the leaf. Upon their return, Naruto was hailed as a hero. Everyone praised him, and he finally got the recognition that he seeked for his entire life. Even after a while, Sasuke had thanked him for bringing him back. After that, Naruto had rose to the ranks of Anbu, and he became captain. Recently, he even got a recommendation from the village council, the same village council that had treated him like a plague when he was younger, to be the successor for Tsunade. This should have made him happy, but it did not. All he felt was the emptiness that was growing. He winced as he struck the boulder again, as his mind drifted to the emptiness and the people that had brought it down on him. Sakura was now engaged to Sasuke. After 5 years of being together, Hinata had married Kiba 3 years ago. Ino was in Anfu, so was Shikamaru. They had been dating for the last 3 years. Everyone was prosperous. But what was there for him anymore? What purpose did he have? To be Hokage? He felt no drive. No more push for that position any longer. A part of that dream that he didn't really tell anyone about was to share that position. Share in the bass of happiness with someone by his side. Someone that he loved. Unfortunately, fate, Kame, had deemed that not to be. So what was the point of being Hokage if you're all alone? He found no joy in this village anymore. But he had no ill will against the village. What happened to him? What did he felt? He felt nothing. As he turned, he heard a voice. "I'm sorry, Naruto. I'm sorry for everything." He turned fully as his blue eyes locked on hers. What was that? He asked her. She took a breath to say something once again, but he stopped her. "You're sorry? You're sorry for what, Sakura?" he asked. "For all the pain you've given me my entire life. From hitting me, belittling me, and finally, humiliating me over all these years. Are you sorry for using me just as a tool to return your precious Sasuke back to you? Is that what you're sorry for?" he asked. "Or perhaps you're sorry because everyone in this village see you for what you truly are. A selfish, manipulative bitch who will use whatever means to get what she wants, and if she doesn't, she throws a tantrum to get what she wants." She was at a loss for words as she looked at him. What's come over you?" she said. She reached as she placed hand on his shoulder, but he slapped it off. "Why are you so angry?" she said, in a murmur. Naruto laughed, but it was not the kind of laugh that was friendly. It was far from it. His laugh was harsh, filled with anger, malice, and rage. His eyes were cold and unfriendly. "I can't believe you have the audacity to ask me that question, when you, above all others, should know why I'm angry. I guess you thought that I would accept your apology, with a smile on my face, and follow you around like a lost puppy dog, just like I did when we were kids. Am I right?" As Sakura looked towards him as she saw the hate in his eyes, she had missed the way he used to look at her. This way now was just filled with nothing but hate and malice. The way he used to speak soft to her when she was sad, lonely, or needed support. That Naruto was gone. This cold, brutal one, which her hands had helped created. "Well, I don't want anything to do with you. I'm not your little bitch anymore, Haruno," he said. "Nothing you could say to me will make me change my mind. I will not become the Jiraiya to your snavy for the rest of my life." She fought desperately to hold back the tears that were welling up in her eyes. What could she say? Why couldn't she realize after last month, after that encounter, that he had hatred towards her? Flashback, 1 month ago, as Naruto stumbled out of the bar. He had a bottle of steak in hand. He was drunk, very drunk. He had tried to convince himself the reason why he was hammered was because he was celebrating. Alone, of course. The reason being on his last mission, he had broken Sakamoto Hatake, a legendary white fan, Kakashi's father, most kill in Anbu history record. Such a feat had garnered him much praise. So why? Why did he feel this way? Oh, he knew why. Because the reason why he got drunk was to drive away the memories for the 3 people over the last 3 years, as he staggered over to a lamppost. As a friendly voice called out, "Hey dope," as he looked over with half-lifted eyes and saw his old 2 teammates. "Team Sakura," he said. As he walked over, "Hey Naruto, we've been looking for you. We heard that you got back from your latest mission. We wanted to find you before you left on another one. You've been doing so many missions these past 3 years, we hardly ever see you anymore." "Well, you found me," said Naruto. "What do you want?" His voice sounded bored. "Sakura and I have some exciting news. We want you to be the first to know." "Sakura, why don't you go ahead and tell him?" "I don't know, Sasuke. Maybe we should wait until he's feeling better." "I feel the way I always do, Sakura. So go ahead. Tell me this exciting news," said Naruto. "Well, Sasuke and I are going to get married soon." She was stuttering a lot as she spoke. Sasuke looked towards her strangely, as she was stuttering a lot. "And we decided that we want you to be the best man." "Why was that so hard to say?" Sasuke asked, as Naruto's face was hanging down. When he looked back up, he had a smile on his face though. A small smile. "Congratulations," he said. He brought the bottle to his lips and took another swig of sake. "Is that all you have to say, dope?" Sasuke asked. "What else do you want, team?" said Naruto. "I want you to be my best man." "Sorry, I don't think I can do that." "Why not?" "Because I'm busy these days. You yourself said it. I have a lot of missions that need to be accomplished over the next few months. I've been given a lot of responsibility. I'm sorry, but I won't be able to attend your wedding. Our wedding is going to be next month. You can't take one day off for that. For me and Sakura, I can't. My responsibility concerns the safety of the leaf, so I can't." "That's bullshit. And you and I know that." Naruto's eyes snapped towards them, as he seemed to just snap out of nowhere. "You wanna know what's bullshit?" he said. "It's bullshit that after everything I've given, you dare ask me that question. And when I say I can't, you try to convince me to do it. I may or may not have a mission next month, but I can tell you one thing. I won't be attending your wedding after everything you've given me." "What the hell are you talking about, dope?" Sasuke asked. Sakura was completely silent. Her head was hanging down low. As Naruto looked towards her, he laughed, but there was no humor in his tone. "After all this time and he doesn't know, huh?" As Naruto burst out laughing, walking away. In the flashback, Sakura looked towards Naruto. "I understand," she said. "I won't bother you anymore. I just want you to know I'm deeply sorry for the pain I caused you. And I regret my past actions against you. I never meant to hurt you, but I did. And I regret it every single day." As she walked away to report her coming back from her mission to the Hokage, when she was alone, then she could cry. For little did Naruto know, she had broken off her engagement with Sasuke. The both of them decided to go their separate ways. Once she was gone, Naruto turned his fists, connected into a tree. The moment it did, the tree exploded, wooden chunks flying everywhere. As he slumped down, a large part of him believed that she deserved it. And yet, But it was not just her. She was a part of it. But somewhere along the way he had lost himself. And he didn't know how to replace what he had lost. Love, joy, happiness. He would not find that here. All he was feeling here was nothing but pain. So what purpose did he have anymore in his life? As he looked towards his Jonin vest, before he kicked it away, this place was too much. Along with the other two girls, it was just too much. He had to leave. Time skip. Later that night, it was late. Very, very late. No one was on the street to see the blonde young man walking towards the gates with a backpack on his back. Or so he thought. Sasuke flashed in front of him in Jonin attire. As his black orbs fell on the backpack that Naruto was wearing, as he put it together rather quickly. Naruto was leaving. As Naruto kept on walking, Sasuke held out his arms. Naruto, what's wrong? Sasuke said. There was literal concern in his voice. He remembered going down the same path years ago. A dark path Naruto saved him from and showed him the light. He always feared that much. To steer him away from this path. As Naruto vanished, the next thing Sasuke knew, a kunai pressed up against his throat. Move. Don't let me kill you, he said. Sasuke looked towards him. At the corner of his eye, no. This is not Naruto I know. You saved me from this dark path. I won't let you go down the same path. As Naruto laughed. No humor in his tone once again, it was just dry. You just don't get it, do you? The Naruto you knew is dead. He died 3 years ago. Sasuke frowned at this as Naruto pulled back. As Sasuke angrily shouted, I refuse to believe that you're still the same loser, the same teammate, the same best friend. As Naruto scowled, Sasuke knew there was another tactic that he had to use. Sakura broke off the engagement, he said. She wants to be with you. I told her to listen to her heart. Naruto hand dropped with a kunai in it. I'm sorry, he said. It doesn't matter. I can't stay here. I won't betray the village, I swear to you. But I won't stay here any longer. What's been taken from me? I can't get it back if I stay here. As Sasuke blinked as Naruto was beside him, their backs almost facing each other. Thank you for being my friend, Naruto whispered. Sasuke tried to turn, but he was already chopped in the neck. As he collapsed, he fell unconscious. As Naruto leaped away, one giant leap, he flew right over the gates, and he left the Hidden Leaf village. Time skip 3 days later. As Naruto was walking, he had knocked Sasuke out 3 days ago and left. Nothing was going to stop him that night. He had already made up his mind. He felt if he stayed in the village for one more second, he would have gone mad. Once he left, he felt happier. The wind blowing through his hair, fresh air in his lungs. I hope they can understand why I left, he thought to himself. Then it hit him, like a chakra enhanced punch from Tsunade. They wouldn't understand why he left. All they would be concerned with was the fact that he had left. He was a captain, a Jonin captain of his former village. They would never stop looking for him. As he wondered if this was what Sasuke lived with when he left the village all those years ago. Was it this bad? The feeling of always looking over his shoulder. He didn't like this thought one bit. And the thought of fighting his friends was not something that favored him. He had to get out of there and fast. But where to go? He needed to find a place to stay for a while. The elite, the tracker ninja, that will no doubt be sent after him. As he stopped walking and thought to himself, he could not take up refuge in the sand, at least not yet. That would put Gar in a bad spot, politically. Still, he had to think of somewhere to go. He can't just walk around. It hit him. He knew exactly where to go. It will be a brief amount of time staying here, but he knew where to go. Flashback, 3 days ago, at the village. Tsunade felt tears start to gather in her eyes. As Sasuke walked in her office and gave her the news, they could not find Naruto. He created a few hundred clones and sent them off. The Inazaka trackers could not track him down. And he could be angry by now. The dope could be angry by now. Tsunade's eyes looked up at him angry for the nickname. Do you have anything to do with him leaving? She asked. No. In fact, I tried to stop him. Alright. I want the whole story. As Sasuke looked towards as he wiped a hand on his face. At first, he threatened to kill me. And then I told him that Sakura and I broke off the engagement. He said it didn't matter because the old Naruto died 3 years ago. He said that he's not the enemy of this village, but he just couldn't stay here anymore. He said what's been taken from him, he couldn't get back if he stayed here. Tsunade buried her face in her palms. She was not 100% certain, but she had a pretty good idea what he was talking about. The guilt of her role that she played in that event made her start to cry. After a few minutes, she inhaled a deep breath. As she looked up, there was no tears in her eyes. Her face was unreadable. He may be a friend to us all, but we can't just let him leave like that, she said. Naruto has more than enough secrets if any nation were to get their hands on him, not to mention the Kyuubi seal instead of him. That is why I'm going to list him as an A-rank missing name. Sasuke was shaken by that. Snelly's face was blank, unreadable, as he couldn't understand. Sasuke's memory completely went towards that day, when Naruto had beat the living crap out of him, and he had the time to kill him, delivering the final strike, but he did not. Flashback. 5 years ago, Sasuke lay on the ground, as he could barely move, as Naruto was on top of him with a regular Sengun. So immense was Naruto's power he had only used 6 steel worth of the Kyuubi's chakra. And Sasuke was coughing up blood already. He was on the ground defeated. Finish it, you stupid dope. As Naruto got up and picked Sasuke up by his collar, as he lifted him up off the ground. No, he said. The Rasengan vanished, as he shouted at Sasuke with determination. You're coming back to the Leaf Team, whether you like it or not. Sasuke remembered that, as Naruto had fought like a demon that night, and yet he spared him, and he brought him back. Then the reality of the situation came back over him. All he has done for this village, all he has done for all of us. Do you want him dead? What kind of Hokage are you? She knew how Sasuke felt, but she wouldn't tolerate insubordination and she slammed her hands on the table. Fool, I said A rank, not S rank. S rank is the automatical kill on sight. And damn it, I don't have a choice but to list him as a missing in. The civilian council that is led by Danzo and those 2 old cronies of my old sensei are just trying to find a reason to take my position as Hokage. And if I show favoritism by not labeling him as a missing in, that will give them enough power to talk up against me. What a brave Hokage you are, Sasuke said, in a sarcastic tone. Listen, you brat, there's no other way. As she looked towards the picture on her table, with Naruto and Jiraiya on it, as she calmed herself. The Akatsuki were never finished off, Sasuke. Naruto may be above Sannin, or Kage level now, but so was Jiraiya back then. And we all know what happened to him. As Sasuke remembered that Naruto had been through a lot after Jiraiya was taken away from him. He was like a father to him. Uchiha, Madara and the other Akatsukis are still out there. We cannot allow them to get a hold of the Kyuubi, because if they do, it will be the end of us all. Sasuke felt like a damn child, as he couldn't do anything in the situation. He had to try. Give me 2 weeks. I'll try everything in my power to get him back here. Permission granted. As it is right now, I have to send out at least 1 envoy team to placate the council. I don't know if that's wise. If he's pushed too far, he might end up killing them before I find him. Perhaps. This is why I'm going to send the envoy team, ISC. It's still a risk, given his past relationship with one of them. I know, but I'm counting on that past relationship to keep him in check if they do find him before you do. This is why you need to find him first. Sasuke nodded as he vanished. Only then, when Sasuke was gone, she started to cry for real. Naruto, I'm so sorry, she said. Unbeknownst to Snelly though, a young woman with lavender eyes that came by to drop off the reports from the hospital and had overheard the entire conversation. With tears streaming down her face to match, Hinata Inazaka ran out. The former Hyuga heiress had just made a decision, and soon enough Naruto would not be the only missing leaf nin. Before the day ended, in the flashback, Naruto smiled as he stepped off the bridge and inhaled the deep sea, salty nation. Over the years, the deep sea, the wave country, had started to grow, and now it was bustling. As he looked towards the mainland, he smiled when he saw the bridge. The Great Naruto Bridge, the title, as he saw there was a tablet there, built in honor of the hero who gave us our faith, our courage, and our life back. He will always be welcome here, for as long as he wished to grace us with his noble presence. As Naruto walked off the bridge, making his way to the one place that he needed to go, time skip, Tezuna almost got a heart attack as Inyur burst inside, tumbling. He had a crossbow over his shoulder, as he was in a white t-shirt with black pants. His face was filled with excitement. Grandpa, Grandpa, guess what he said? Tezuna groaned as he placed a hand over his chest. What's so important you almost gave me a heart attack? Damn it, Iniri. Tezuna was too old to be spooked by so many things anymore, but his grandson always found a way to scare the hell out of him. And this was no exception, as Iniri was jumping up and down. It's Naruto. He's come back. That nearly gave him another heart attack. What? That's wonderful news, said Tezuna as he got to his feet fully. Where is he? He asked, as Iniri took his grandfather's hand and brought him outside. Meanwhile, as Naruto stood, looking down the graves of Zabuza, and his protege, Haku, with a massive demon blade on his back. It felt wrong to take the blade. He felt like a grave robber, but he needed for protection. The sight of the great beheader should be enough to fend off attackers. Forgive me, Sabusa, but I'm gonna have to borrow this. I'll do your name proud with it, he said, as he looked down towards the grave. As he turned around, he heard a whisper voice. He could swear that he heard it. A voice said, "Take it," as a wind blew, ruffling his hair. As he smiled, Zabuza was where he formed his own ninja oath, there and then. This blade would serve him well, much like it had its former master. If he was to be hunted and he found a good means to protect himself, he would stay away for a short time until he can map out his next move. He kinda needed disguise though, as he wondered if there was a mask maker around here. Big Brother Naruto! As Naruto turned to see the funny sight of Inari pulling along his grandfather, as the old man was out of breath, as Inari released him and rushed up Naruto. "Hey old man," Inari said Naruto, as he was truly happy to see him alive and well, as Inari grabbed him in a beer hug. Happy to see his friend in such a long time. "You came back. This is so cool." "Simmer down, Inari," said Tazuna. "Let Naruto breathe." Naruto laughed as he was released, as he noticed a crossbow. "Looks like you've been practicing that thing." Inari gave him a big thumbs up. "I sure have. I can hit point 50 yards every single time." He then noticed a massive sword on Naruto's back, and also the scratched leaf headband. "Big Brother Naruto, why do you have such a blade?" Tazuna saw Naruto's smile collapse into a frown, as he tried to explain. "Well, Inari, you see..." "Inari," said Tazuna, "why don't you go and let the town folks know that the hero has come back to visit us?" "That's a great idea. Everyone loved to see Big Brother Naruto again," as he ran off. Tazuna then turned back to Naruto. "You left the hidden leaf, didn't you?" As Naruto nodded. "Seems I can't hide anything from you, can I, old man?" he said. "You sure can't." "Well, I'm still alive for a reason. You won't tell me why you left?" "Not right now. Maybe later," said Naruto. Tazuna nodded understanding, as the mood was getting a bit damper, before he clapped Naruto in the back as he smiled. "Come on, let's go back to my place and have a welcome back party. You're a guest of honor after all." As Naruto felt like his old self, for once, not thinking about the past. "Yeah, I like that," he said. As they were walking down, they saw a crowd of people, as Naruto saw them all gathered there, with Inari at the front. The growing crowd beneath them cheered as Naruto raised a hand in greeting, as the younger ones started to chant, "Naruto! Naruto! Naruto!" By the time they come down from the hill, it had grown into a loud roar. Naruto found himself shaking people's hands that he didn't even know. He was being asked questions from left to right. "Thanks, no, it was no trouble at all. You're welcome. Yeah, thanks." He knew he couldn't stay here too long, but for a moment he felt at peace. "Damn, what a turnout," said Naruto as he saw the crowd went straight down, as he was still shocked that this many people go out of their way just to see him. "What did you expect? You're a hero here," said Naruto. As Naruto paused, he tilted his head towards the forest, where he saw a man standing there. He was looking through a scope, looking right at Naruto, as he stopped his two teammates from interacting. In case things went bad, they didn't want to harm any innocent civilian, so they would buy their time and wait. "Well, we found him. I almost wish that we hadn't. Damn. This is gonna be troublesome." As Naruto and the group went off, Tazuna and Inari were giving Naruto a tour in the village, as Naruto was surprised of how much more business and how things were bustling. As he looked around in awe, the place was fresh and alive with action. Exactly how it should have been in the first place if Gato did not interfere with the place. It took quite a bit of time to get to Tazuna's house, because of the crowd, but at last they made it. "Here we are, my humble abode," said Tazuna. Tazuna was no longer living in the two-story house. This was more like a castle. From the outside, looked like a traditional Eastern home, with black, sliding doors and windows, dozens of trees and plants around the front of the gates to enter the yard. "Come on in, no need to be shy." Ira told Snam that we might be having guests, as Naruto walked up towards a large pathway, making his way till he reached the front of the door. "How did you get such a huge place? What happened to your old house?" said Naruto. "To be honest, I wanted to stay where I was, but after completing the bridge and being voted village chief, they all insisted I move into a house that fit my position." As Naruto nodded as he looked over the vast property, things have definitely changed since he had been here. He unlocked and slid open the front door to the mansion. "Tsunami, guess who's here?" he said. The young black-haired woman poked her head around from the corner. "Naruto-kun, you really are here," she said, surprised by him being here. Naruto blinked, amazed how she still looked the same, even after these years. "Hey Tsunami-chan," he said. "It's good to see you too." She gave a courteous bow, as he did to her. "Please come in," she said. "I'll have some tea ready for you all in a moment." This way, said Tazuna. If it was possible, the inside was more impressive than the outside. Large, colorful wall scrolls hung on the pristine walls, and photographs of Tazuna and his family sat on the smooth tables. He recognized most of them, but he was surprised to see one of them with him, Tsunami, Iniri, and Tazuna. The rest of Team 7, when the bridge was finished. As he looked towards Sasuke, they seemed so happy in the photo, considering that they fought near to death twice while being near that mission where they had survived. And now he was the one out here being a missing in, while Sasuke was back home. The irony. Really bad irony. Iniri noticed Naruto look. You're right, big brother Naruto, he asked. Naruto simply shrugged as he smiled. Oh, it's nothing, I was just wondering when this picture was taken. Oh, that. I took it right before you guys left. I could get you a copy if you like. That's alright. I don't need any more reminders of my past life anymore. Iniri looked towards Naruto confused. Before Tazuna called out, Iniri, why don't you go and help with the preparation for the party? While Naruto and I talk a bit. Oh, okay, Grandpa. Iniri turned back towards Naruto, who nodded in appreciation as he made his way off. Both men reached a large open porch overlooking the backyard, as Tazuna motioned for Naruto to take a seat on the throw pillar. So Naruto stayed as he sat down. As his bones creaked a bit, he was getting old. What brings you back to Wave Country? As you said before, I left Leaf Village. Tazuna nodded. Yes, I can see that. But I would like to know why you left. If you're worried if I'm some criminal on the run, I can assure you I'm not. I left the village because things have changed over the years. Things. As he took a long pause, he seemed to be fighting with himself as Tazuna noticed that. I really don't want to go into details why I left, said Naruto. You just have to trust me when I say, staying here brought me no joy anymore, only pain these past few years. I just don't want to hurt anymore. Can you understand that, said Naruto. I can understand that and I trust you. Why don't you stay here in the wave? Everyone would love for you to call our land your home. In fact, you can stay here, we have plenty of room. I appreciate the offer. You have no idea how much it means to me. But while I want to do that, I can't. Konoha isn't just gonna let me walk away. They will be sending envoy squads down to hunt me down. I won't put you or your home in any danger because of me, so I have to leave very soon. You can at least stay for the celebration, can you? Yes, I can stay for that. Do you know of any good mask maker in these parts, said Naruto? Well there's this one guy in the outskirts of town, but he moved around a lot. Well, I guess I can check him out, said Naruto. Time skip. The people all came together as they were celebrating. As Naruto watches Tazuna was getting jumped by the second, as a girl came up to Tazuna. Now what to the great Naruto bridge? Yeah, a man beside her said. Surely he didn't do anything great to get himself named after a bridge. Tazuna laughed loudly. Well, it's not his physical strength that affected our town. Not that alone. If that was the case, we'd have named it the Great Kakashi Bridge. That was his sensei's name. Instead, it was what he did for our country emotionally that made a difference. The girl tilted her head, glancing towards the man. Emotionally? What the hell is that supposed to mean? You old Suki. That's quite enough, the man said, as he stopped her from saying anything else. She looked towards Tazuna and she gave a small bow. I apologize, Tazuna-san, she said. Please continue. Tazuna took another soup from the bottle that he had in his hand, as he was already stirring on his feet. Well, in a way, he united us all. He gave us all the strength to fight against Gato. It wasn't until he arrived at our village shot to flourish, so we decided to name it after him. After all, the bridges united us, just like he did, with the rest of the shinobi world. So, what bring you two strangers here? We're merely travelers passing through your land. Could we ask, where can we find this great Naruto? They heard a voice, that would be me, as Naruto walked up to them. He has been overhearing the conversation since it began. Naruto, said Tazuna, do you know these two? Naruto shook his head no. I do not. Perhaps they will introduce themselves. Ah, so you're Naruto Uzumaki. As Naruto nodded, you already know this. What business do you have with me? Do you remember Princess Koyuki? As Naruto blinked at the name. Yes, you remember her. Tazuna on the other hand took it the wrong way. Ah, I see. So you have moved on from Sakura-chan. I'm glad you're seeing someone else, and not to mention a princess. Good choice, my boy. The man introduced himself before Naruto could say anything. I'm Asaki, and this is my niece, Suki. We bring you word from Princess Koyuki. As he pulled out a seal envelope. As Naruto saw the seal, it was indeed from the princess. We are here on her behalf. Princess Koyuki has asked for the hero that saved her in the past. As Naruto opened the letter, Naruto, as he started to read, if you're reading this, then Asaki and Suki was successful in finding you. I'm sure you're wondering what this is all about. As Naruto realized there was photographs in there. Naruto's eyes widened as he saw fires ravaging over Spring Country. In one of those pictures he saw all too familiar face. The face was heavily scarred, but he recognized it immediately. It was Dodo. But that's not possible. As he continued to read, Dodo is alive. He has been wreaking havoc upon our lands. We have tried all methods to get ourselves rid of him, but all through the village we request aid from has turned us down. Naturally, we asked Lead for aid, but the team that they sent was never seen again after. They went after my uncle. All those that were sent after him either came back in a coffin, or they were never seen again. Recently, Sasuke visited the village in search of you. When I realized that you have left your village, I don't know why you left, but if you did, I'm sure you had a good reason. I took the chance that you might have gone to the Wave Country. I remember you telling me about your first mission, when you first left the Leaf Village. That is the reason I sent Asaki and Suki to you. I asked you this not as an employer, but a friend. I asked, no, I beg of you to come to Spring and free us of Dodo, tyranny. Please, Naruto, save my people in our land once more. Kazahana Koyuki. It ended. As Naruto took the photos and full letters, he gave it back to the man. No. They blinked in shock. What? Said Suki. I said no, said Naruto. The man had to calm the girl as he looked towards Naruto. Why are you refusing? I already have a boat set up. I refuse, said Naruto. No, be gone, before I do something you might regret. Asaki sighed, as he then turned towards Naruto once again, after looking at Suki. Here's the address of the boat that we have waiting for you, if you might change your mind. Naruto took it but paid him no mind. I won't be needed. Suki shook her head angrily. Is this the great Naruto? The one that our princess always spoke so highly of? I guess I expected someone more better. Perhaps more kinder. Well, you're definitely not him. She turned as she left, as the man left as well. Irritating girl. Remind me of soccer, said Naruto. Good riddance. Tsunami was sitting there as she was confused. Why did you do that, she said. As Naruto pulled out the photo. Look here, he said. As he pointed, she looked toward Doto's hand. There was a ring there. This. Doto is an imposter. It's the Akatsuki waiting there for me. I'm not ready to go there yet, because they would just try to jump me in their surprise. So I'm gonna make them think that I'm not coming, so they won't know when I strike. Of course I'll help Princess Koyuki, but I have to be ready for all-out war when I go there. Time skip. Hours later, the party had finally wound down, as Naruto was saying his goodbyes. Come on, big brother Naruto, why do you have to go? As Naruto roughly is here. Sorry, Inari. I already put your family at too much of risk, he said, as he gave both Inari and the old man a hug. As Tsunami gave him a kiss on the cheek. Will you ever come back? They asked. Perhaps one day, he said, as he gave them a smile. For now, farewell to all of you, he said. Moments later, as Naruto found himself in front of the mask maker. Any specifics, the man said. As, when it comes towards the cash, of course he will make the mask for Naruto. As Naruto had him a piece of paper. I want it to be unbreakable. The finest material that you can use. And if you can change my voice as well, that will be acceptable. The man looked over the paper. First time I'm seeing something like this. Well, I'm gonna have to use my finest materials. And for the voice changer, yeah, I think I can handle that. How long, said Naruto. 12 hours, I say you should do it. As Naruto placed on another stack of cash. That's yours if you can do it in 6 hours. The man rubbed his chin, as a smile came on his face. Time skip. 6 hours later, the man was finally done. This is the finest piece of material I ever crafted. Go ahead, lad, put it on. As Naruto placed it over his face, it was so smooth it felt like a second skin. When he spoke, his voice sounded rather dark, like a mix between his and the Kyuubi. Perfect, said Naruto. I may require your services again later. The man took the 2 sack of cash. Well, if you keep on paying me like this, there is no problem there, he said with a smile. A wise choice, and you will tell no one of this, understood? The man nodded, although he was afraid slightly. Not to mention the mask made Naruto look more scary. Time skip. Later on the road. The sun had just rise as Naruto came to a stop. I knew Bachan would send someone, but you. Why you, said Naruto. As Naruto turned, the mask on his face, as the envoys behind him stood there. He tried to move, but he found that he could not. His hand then came up, as he cracked his neck slowly. Shadow possession, pitiful. Don't you have any big tricks in that, Shikamaru? He asked. Shikamaru gulped as he saw the scratch leaf headband that was around Naruto's neck, and not to mention his voice, sounded rather demonic. Shaking off his anxiety, he ordered, Naruto, you're coming back with me. Don't make me force you, he said. Naruto took a breath. Before he released his chakra, they all froze. As it was so powerful, it shook the place slightly. Well then, seems like we're gonna have to dance, said Naruto. Shikamaru gulped as he looked at the menacing mass. It had the look of a boar, with 10 red striped bones that was spread along the top and the bottom of the mass. The mouth. It looked like it had all elongated teeth inside, but the slanted eyes, those were the dangerous part of it. As Shikamaru saw under the eyes, the white of his eyes were now black. And where the pupil was supposed to be blue, it was now red. Naruto, what have you done? Why do you look like that? Naruto pulled the blade off his back and slammed it into the ground. As the place shook slightly, he then ceased the chakra that he was putting out. As he then answered, I haven't done anything yet. And I won't do anything if you don't force me, Shikamaru. As for the reason why I look so, I figure I need a new appearance towards how I feel. And it's a warning that Naruto Uzumaki is no longer to be screwed with, he said. We don't want to force you to do anything. If you would just return with us, everything will be less troublesome. We don't want to have to fight you. I'm gonna give you and your team a chance to walk away and just leave me alone, said Naruto. That's all I want, is to be left alone. If you don't, I'm gonna fight you. And if that happens, I cannot guarantee your safety. Shikamaru sighed. You're always a troublesome one, he said. Well, I suppose. But before we begin our dance, I'd like to know how you find me so quickly, said Naruto. Well, it was troublesome trying to figure out where you might have gone. A logical choice would have been the Sun, Land of Spring. Anywhere that you became a hero in the past couple of years. But you're smarter than you look. I know you knew that Konoha would look there first, so you won't go there. So I took the chance that you would go to somewhere where you first became a hero in. No one would think that you would go back to somewhere where you haven't been in 12 years. Smart. Very smart, said Naruto. Well, I just got lucky, said Shikamaru. Don't sell yourself short, after all. You were smart enough to get the girl from me. Shikamaru winced upon hearing that, as Ino hadn't said a single word as she stood there. For his part, Naruto remained impassive as he watched his former comrades. As Ino was not facing Naruto, she did not look at him. Her eyes were mostly down towards his feet. She did not look in his eyes. Shikamaru pulled out a scroll as he placed it down on the ground. A sealing scroll, said Naruto. So you're serious about capturing me, he said. As Shikamaru sighed, Naruto, why did you leave? As Naruto vanished, his voice echoed in the air like a shout that rushed through them. Don't ask stupid questions when you already know the answer. Some of you, more than most. My soul was already dead there. It just took my mind and body some time to realize I have no place there and no desire to return ever to that village ever again. As Naruto flashed in front of him, Shikamaru blinked in shock. As Naruto was already in front of him, blade raised high as he brought it down. Shikamaru was shocked by the speed. He could not move fast enough. His teammates could not get to him fast enough. But at the last moment, Naruto twisted his hand. He used a dull part of the blade and knocked Shikamaru right in his face. Not with enough strength to cause any permanent damage, but with enough to knock him out. As Shikamaru was then sailing back as he crashed on the ground. As he was losing consciousness, he realized he wasn't trying to kill me. As Naruto flashed away, showing that he still cared, because he stopped and placed 2 fingers at Shikamaru's neck. There was still a pulse. He then strapped his blade to his back. He's done, he said. Unfortunately, from Choji's distance, he thought Naruto said that he was dead, as Choji exploded in rage. Naruto, you bastard, what have you done? Naruto turned as Choji's arms were extended. They had turned large and grabbed Naruto as he started to squeeze him by the throat. Foolish mortal. The voice echoed inside Naruto's head. You see where your mercy got you. As Naruto looked towards Choji as he was literally squeezing life out of him. He had a deal with the fox. Meanwhile in Anvil, there was many people to kill. He allowed the fox to gain control to release his bloodlust. As long as the fox would aid him with his power whenever he needed, it had earned him his code name, Bloody Kitsune. Because if you were dangerous missing in, and you got assigned to be hunted by Naruto, you wouldn't be coming back alive. As Choji was holding on to Naruto. Fine, said Naruto. As Choji felt his hands burning, until he was forced to release, before his hand was completely melted off. Choji looked at his palms that were singed badly, as the red chakra swirled around Naruto, as he then heard, Hello, Choji. Choji looked up with shock on his face as he saw those demonic red eyes looking down at him. So, old friend, You thought you would just choke life out of me, huh? As he brought his knee up and crushed it right into Choji's face. A crunching sound could be heard as Naruto broke his nose. Choji shot his fist forward, but it passed right through ear. No one was there. Choji looked around. Where did he go, he thought? He got his answer as something slammed into his back, throwing him away as Choji crashed face first into the dirt. Further groaning in pain as his nose was in bad pain, leaned to the side, broken. Blood was leaking from it. Get up, old buddy. I thought that you were just gonna kill me a moment ago. Choji couldn't even move. The hit to his back, his body felt like he was shocked. After only 2 hits on the Kyuubi's power, he could barely move anymore. What? Giving up already, said Naruto. But then a voice spoke up. Naruto, stop, that's enough. Your fight is not with them. It's with me. As he turned to see Ino, her hands thrust forward in a familiar pattern. You're coming back, she said, whether you want to or not. As Naruto laughed. He literally laughed at her attempts of doing anything against him. He heard the hesitation in her voice, and her technique. Her mind-body jutsu did not scare him one bit. With his speed, he could easily dodge, but he had other things on his mind. Go ahead, jump in my mind, and see what you and the others did, said Naruto. Her hands started to shake, until tears started to cry from her eyes. As her hands dropped to her side, please Naruto, don't do this, she said. I'm sorry about what happened, please, just return back. I promise. She was grabbed by the throat as Naruto pulled her by her vest. She was caught off guard by his speed as she looked into his eyes. I thought you of all people would have learned your lesson about promising me anything. Please, Naruto-kun. I knew you're angry with what I did about my decision, but if you give me a chance, I gave you a chance just like the others. And I took your fate to heart. But once again, I pay the price. Never again. Never again, Ino. Something then slammed into Naruto as he was thrown, as he crashed through a tree. Ino saw Choji standing up, his large fist extending. Laughter could be heard as Ino looked over. That's not very sporting of you, pal. Take me from behind. I thought that you were out, but it seems like you still want to dance. Well, alright. We can still dance, Choji. Ino yelled in fear as a fist smashed into Choji's stomach. As Naruto started running around him, Choji tried to reach him, but he was just too slow. Ino ran over to Shikamaru, who was still out cold, who was not showing any signs of waking up anytime soon. This is bad. We're one of the top Envo teams, and he has us completely outclassed here. Meanwhile, what's wrong, said Naruto. You can't see me. I guess you can't hit what you can't see. As Ino cradled her boyfriend Shikamaru in her lap, as she saw a red claw slam into Choji. Choji coughed as he was knocked up in the air. His eyes widened when he saw Naruto above him, as Naruto's feet was outstretched. Blam! Naruto kick slammed into his chest. Choji dropped like a bullet as he crashed into the earth. Seconds later, Naruto descended down. Ino was shivering now, as her hands, her entire body was shaking as she heard Choji crying out. Naruto was showing absolutely no mercy. It was like they were facing an entirely different person. Why won't he stop, she thought. As she got to her feet, placing Shikamaru down. Stop it, Naruto, she shouted. If you still have a shred of feelings left for me, please stop it, she said. She heard Choji cried out as the tears started to stream down her face. Suddenly, something was thrown as Choji crashed in front of her. As Naruto stepped out of the dust, he raised his mask as she saw his face. Take them and leave. Naruto-kun, because of what we once had, even if it was a lie, I'll spare them. Now go, before I change my mind. As she looked at his face. Naruto, please, just come back. I still don't say that, said Naruto. I've heard that lie 3 times before, and I fall for it, he said. Just leave. That's all I want, you to leave. You did 2 years ago, so just do it again. And tell Bachin the same when you get back. That's all I want, to be left alone. As Naruto turned and walked away, as Ino watched him leave. It's not a lie, Naruto-kun, she said. I still love you, even if you'll never believe me again. They all messed up in the past. They all did something wrong, and it was bad. But their actions have now come back to haunt them, as Naruto had changed. He was no longer the same Naruto she knew, because the same Naruto she knew wouldn't do this to Choji. He wouldn't knock Shikamaru out like that, as she watched him leave. But guys, and be in subscribe right here. If you want the next person to do, Like, subscribe, comment down below, and turn on that bell notification as they posted. But for now, see you guys soon. Peace.